This episode of Around the Layout is brought to you by ScaleSigns.com. From trackside to roadside and wherever you'd see a sign, Scale Signs has it all. With over 1,400 offerings in N, HO, S, and O scale, Scale Signs has the largest collection of fine scale signs on the planet. Come see the details that bring your models to life on their website, ScaleSigns.com. Discover prototypical track and turnouts with the Roadmaster series from Oak Hill Model Railroad Track Supply. Proudly made in the United States, Oak Hill's handcrafted turnouts provide unparalleled detail and accuracy, giving your layout museum-quality track work at an affordable price. Whether fully built or in easy-to-assemble kit form, Roadmaster provides all the details of real track. Looking for a custom piece of track work? Oak Hill can help with custom turnouts, diamonds, crossings, and more. Check out all of their offerings on their website, ohrtracksupply.com. ATLP Extra is our monthly newsletter delivered right to your inbox each month. Sign up for free at atlpextra.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Around the Layout, where model railroaders come to tell their story. My name is Ray Arnott. So glad you could join us. On this episode, we're going to be talking about a very special event, and joining me to do that, the editor of Model Railroad News, Tony Cook.
I know that guy.
You know that guy. I know that guy too. He's right there. Yeah.
Awesome, Ray. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, and I know one of the big things that I'm looking forward to. I've done some travel lately, but June's going to be kind of a lull, and then it's going to really ramp up in July. And kicking that off is a trip to a place I've never been before and a state I've never even been to before. So that's going to be really exciting. That's Nebraska in the little town of Deschler.
Wow.
And I know you've been there before, though, so I'm going to have to rely on you to get me there.
I was there just a month ago. Nebraska, the good life. It says as you roll through with the welcome sign. Yes, indeed.
Well, I'll be looking forward to seeing that sign through the windshield of a Lincoln as we head up that way to see the good folks at Spring Creek Model Trains for their 25th anniversary. And joining us to talk about that are the guys from Spring Creek Model Trains, Mike and Jeff Zucker. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Glad to be back.
Yeah. Happy to see you guys.
Yeah, happy to see you guys. And boy, I'm just looking forward to getting out there. I mean, I've seen you at train shows. I've saw Mike at the N-Scale convention down in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And then I saw you both at Amherst. And I've seen you for many years at Amherst, but I have never come out and stopped by and said, wow. So I can't wait to finally get to, I've been saying it many times at the beginning of the podcast, and now I'll get to actually say it for sure, to stop in and say, wow. So looking forward to that opportunity.
I hope it actually takes your breath away at least a little bit when you make that first step into the store. So,
I have no doubt that it will.
A lot.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the shock of that, and then maybe the awe will be the wallet coming out, because I know that there's going to be a bunch of stuff I'm going to be interested in at the shop. But that's not the only thing that's happening at your event. I know you've got a bunch of stuff going on, and you've been just busy planning all of this as you celebrate 25 years. What an amazing accomplishment. Let's start there and just talk about being able to say 25 years of Spring Creek Model Trains.
Yeah, it's a testament, I guess, to what our parents have started, right? And what we're fortunate enough or blessed with to be able to continue. But, Mom and Dad started the business in 2000 as a dream that our dad had to get into the hobby, right? As a vendor. Yeah, right. It's always been in the hobby. I kind of said that wrong, but yeah, they started out of the room of the house, right? And it grew into, coming home for Christmases with our families, right? There was no places to sit, right? That's how crowded the house was with product.
So they had like an Athern coffee table, and then maybe a Rapido nightstand, and
we had a full couch. A full size couch right in the living room, and it was 3 boxes deep.
Yeah,
and not just small boxes, just full of stuff, right? And guest bedroom that was completely full of things. So it was quite the adventure coming home for holidays there for a while.
Yeah,
but Jeff got them. Well, I think we were both kind of talking them in, you need a place, right? You should get this out of the house so you can at least get away from it for a little while, and looking at other places, but found this building here in Deschler, right? And you and
Yeah,
Christy came
about
down and really helped them get this going.
about 11 years ago. I remember walking in and Dad going, "I'm never going to fill this place." And I think he set himself a challenge or a goal or
Yep.
something because he made it happen. But we really kind of stumbled into a luck of a find for a structure. I mean, a lot of the remodel work was already done, and it was pretty much turn it, get your shelving up, open the door, and here you go.
Yeah, it's a perfect building for what we do, right? I mean, if we were the thing that'd be better, right, is maybe have a layout. A couple of our areas are pretty tight just because trying to get as much product out there as we can. But really, having an old grocery store / old theater is just a nice big building, right? It's 3,500 square feet of model trains. They added on this spot that we're sitting, which is like our upstairs back office area.
Yep.
And then Dad made some improvements to the basement that, we got module layouts down there. We got Jeff's Fremo modules down there. Not a layout. We have a stored modules is what I should say. And then your Fremo modules are down there. And then we have our warehouse. So
right.
It's pretty crazy. So there's stuff kind of everywhere. And like I said, it's just like the perfect building for what Spring Creek has grown into, right?
Yep.
And hopefully that we can continue to grow.
That sure beats the days of being in 3 different spots to find something. It
was
what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I have spots like that where I'm working on something and it's like, I know I have one of those. I've looked on the shelves. I've looked in the bins. I've looked under the layout. And then 6 months later, it's like, oh, yeah, it's sitting over here on top of this DVD rack for some reason.
Yep.
Right.
I was carrying it one day and set it down. Like, that's how I lost it.
We take the inventory that goes into our trailer, right? It comes out of inventory here at the store, so it comes off our website. So anything that's traveling to our train shows that we are attending, right, is not on the website. Just from a management standpoint and how we decided how we were going to track that. So every once in a while, right, we'll clean up the stuff that we see that's in the trailer, and it's like, hey, it's time, let's bring that back into the store. And then you'll get that guy that's, hey, I just saw this GP40-2 on your website. Do you guys really have that? It says, yep, we just brought that back from the trailer. It's here, it's back into the store. We got it here in our hand, right? And you get asked that a couple times. Those finds, right?
And it is. That's one of the neatest things about going to the store. Is there's so much stock, so much inventory. I always find something. In fact, last time I was up there, I remember I was asking you about some Intermountain boxcar. Like, do you remember if that ever came out? I think it was that Milwaukee Road with the grain hatches on the top.
Yep.
Yeah.
I get back home. I'm working on something completely different for some other project. And yep, I got one, and it has your price sticker on the end. and at the time, both of us were like, I don't know if that ever came out. Like, well, I really wanted to get one of those. It's like, I mean, if that comes out, remind me of that. It's like, so you don't remember? Mike's like, no, I don't ever remember. I don't remember it either. And then I see it. I'm like, wow. And and I bought it there too. It's like, well, cool.
There you go.
That's awesome.
There you go.
That's awesome.
How long did it take to get foot traffic going, Jeff? I mean, because Deschler's 747 people, and yet I can go up there on a nothing weekday, think there's no show, nothing going on. I just, will come up and there's people there all day. I mean, it's become a destination for folks.
It really kind of took off pretty much right away as far as having the store open and whatnot. Maybe that first year was probably pretty slow, but I'm kind of like you, Tony. I figure, like Monday through Friday is going to be pretty quiet. We're not going to have much, but you have people, at least a customer a day, and they're from all over. Some, it's like they're traveling on their vacation and they're like, this is part of the vacation stop, that gets a couple hours at the train store kind of thing. Others, it is like drilled into their vacation destination, and they come and they spend a day and shop. And then we have some others. We're situated probably about halfway between Omaha and Wichita, Kansas. So that's an easy drive for those folks. So you never know when somebody's going to pop in from
we
those
see
areas.
them a lot more often, right? Those are kind of our local we call them our local, the 3-hour drive to our store. It's kind of our local customers really that come quite often.
And we're starting to get more and more even closer. So it's not necessarily they're new to the hobby. It's just they've found us, so to speak. So
which still kind of blows our minds.
It does. It does. But they just happen to not go to shows, or finally we're at a show and saw us and I didn't realize, and like, oh, well, geez, that's way closer than where I was going. Or
to add to what Jeff said, though, I think it's, the fact that mom and dad traveled for, 10, 12 years to train shows built a network of customers, and customers based on the product that was being, displayed or sold at those shows. They knew that dad knew his stuff, right? And that mom knew her stuff in the N-scale world, and they were itching for a store to get established, right? Or to be more open. So that first year of this store, right, they hired staff. First or second year maybe of the store, they got
I think the first year we hired a part-time person, and I think it was 2 years later than mom hired a full-time our first
then our store
person
was able to be open more often because somebody was here when mom and dad were on the road.
We're going to be celebrating not only 25 years, obviously, of Spring Creek Model Trains in Deschler, where the store is, but really it's a celebration of exactly that. Spring Creek Model Trains being brought really coast to coast and from border to border. And that's just an amazing story. And while we love talking to you two gentlemen, I can't wait to get to Deschler and get Dave and Deb on the mic and hear this story, because I'm sure it's amazing and one of entrepreneurship and following a dream. That is really a cool story to be told. So looking forward to being one of the things that we're going to be doing out there during the 25th.
That'll be awesome. That'll be great. And I think they'll have a good time doing that with you.
Yeah.
Because they enjoy sharing their history, right? And then just the passion of model trains, right? I know, Tony, you've experienced that from them. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I was up there in the last month, I had lunch there in the community center where the Fremo was with Dave. I sat down there, and Bruce was there too, who works for y'all. And Dave and I just immediately started talking about 2 or 3 different train things. I don't think we ever talked so much about the Fremo or what I was up there to do or this or that, but literally just sat down and said, hey, I saw this the other day and was thinking about you on this. Oh, yeah. And I mean, we just sat there talking trains for like half an hour. And then it hit me later that never once said, oh, Dave, this Fremo is really great. This thing you guys are doing. But yeah, and that's kind of typical. Yeah.
I think that's a key thing about the Fremo. It says, I think probably says who we are a lot, is like, we like seeing trains, right? We like seeing trains run. And that's one of the reasons the Fremo happened, when it did 6 or 7 years ago. Now we want to share it with others, right? And bring people to town to see it and stuff. But it's partly because Jeff, Dad, myself, Mom, our kids like to see trains. My kids aren't into trains like I'm into trains or Jeff's into trains or whatever, but they still like looking at layouts. They still like watching the trains run and seeing the details. Yep. So, I mean, that's the cool thing about, I guess, who the Zuckers are, right?
Absolutely.
You can probably add more to that. I mean, you're into the Fremo now, so.
Oh, yeah. It's just a good event to share with everybody, try to grow the hobby. The thing I like about modular, and Fremo in particular, was that you're not tied to a club layout because it's a national standard. You can go anywhere with your module and have a good time. So it's a way to show people, hey, there's a way to get into this hobby without having to have the basement empire or give up a room in your house or permanently kind of thing. Because I think for a lot, especially with today's world with the sky high prices on real estate, that is a barrier. It is, do I want to give up space to do this? Or do I have space? And it's like you do. It's like, if you can fit something in your car, you can bring it and come and have a good time and enjoy the hobby for what it is.
Yep.
Well, with modular layouts being so important to you, why don't you tell us how you're going to tie that into the celebration for the 25th?
Well, for us this year, we got about 12, probably 13.
Something like that. Maybe 11. Somewhere in that range.
Coming. Well, we have an N-scale Fremo setting up. So we have people from New Jersey and Delaware for sure coming, and other Nebraska and some other areas coming to join in on that. We'll have a layout from Denver, a layout from Corpus Christi, Texas, another layout from Texas. I'm not sure where he's from, but it's going to be a lot of fun. They're coming from all over. They've
got a couple
most
local
have been to the setup before and set up, but this will be, we're blowing it out, making it bigger and bringing a lot of them all back. And pretty much everybody who has come has really been excited that they got invited back. So
yeah, I was going to say that I think that's a big thing to Jeff's point. There's the layouts that have been here before, they are asking to come back. We see that as like the event's just fun, right? That they're having a good time. They're willing to make the travel up here and set up and display their stuff and get a chat with everybody, right? And that's the cool part about the show.
And this is the same. This show happens every summer, every other summer is how it's been going for I don't know how many years now. And I remember asking Dave, I said, how come you guys don't do this every summer? And Ray, without missing a beat, he looked at me and said, because I think Deb would leave me.
I help out Mom on a ton of stuff around this store, and I would echo that. I might leave Jeff. Jeff might be running this on his own.
For anybody who has not ever ran a show, I tell you, it is a lot of work. Yeah, and you don't realize it's a year-round process. It's not you show up that weekend and here you go kind of thing. It's you're working.
I know you've talked with John a lot there, Ray, and with the Amherst show, and I can't imagine the amount of work he goes
Oh my
through.
God!
Yeah, John's probably working on Amherst as we speak, right? And
he always says that. Yeah, it's right after you finish when you start the next.
We should all be thanking, all the different folks across this country that put on train shows. I know that's the way I got into the hobby, was going to train shows.
Yeah, me too.
So.
Yeah, and they're so important, and that allows us to be with our people, connect in a way that is just so natural and so powerful to be in person, and the information that's shared and the relationships that are built. And I'm sure with your biannual event, that's happened quite often with that. And I'm sure the 25th is just going to be, a multitude of all those things.
That's what we're open for. We're excited about it. We got a lot of new vendors or manufacturers / vendors coming, right, that we're excited about. We got, the scale signs. Garza is going to be there. We got Nick's Trains. Nick Santo, he's coming, right? I mean, those guys have never been to Teschler, may have never been to Nebraska. I don't know, but they're willing to come out because of the event and stuff that's out there. We got a lot of repeat vendors coming back, so it's going to be exciting, right?
It's always fun to get to visit with those folks, like George from Soundtracks and folks like that, where you can ask them questions and everything. That always a lot of manufacturers. And you mentioned you got some new ones this year, didn't you? Say Derek Sampson from Value Trains?
Yep, Value Trains.
There's another first time,
And like you said on the George thing, Jeff was answering some questions, I think, just the other day with a customer, right? Of some digital questions, right, on how to do different things. And
that was me.
Oh, okay.
That was me for an install.
We could get so far on some of it, right? And just to have the opportunity for a customer to be able to talk directly to George about, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? Right? You're going to have the opportunity here in the middle of the United States. Come meet them, right? Come hang out, ask those questions.
Yeah, what's cool about all these vendors as well, they love, and vendors and manufacturers, they love to hear from you too. They want that interaction.
Mm-hmm.
It's that field research that they're doing, and they want to hear what your passion is and what you're about, because it helps them design the next project or fuel that for them. So what an amazing thing to do. That's why train shows in general are so important, and that's why this event is just going to be really something special.
Like you mentioned, we got Value Trains coming. Some of the Azatrax, he's coming again.
John, I want to mention one of our new ones is John's HONN Trees. He's a guy from Texas who makes custom trees.
Oh, wow.
It's his first time. I've seen his stuff. It's really nice. So it's going to be fun to have him around. Hopefully he can drum up more business for himself. And we got like Mike was leaning into. We've got scale trains again. We've got Intermountain coming. We got Cotto coming with a display. We mentioned Value Trains. We got Dan from Yelton Models and Iowa Scaled Engineering. And another new one this year is Broadway Limited. So we're excited to have them. They are excited to come. Of course, we're working with a project with them, and hopefully they'll have some samples of a Lone Star or at least some pictures to show off
Or be able to,
for us and
just
talk about
promote
that
it. Yeah.
car that's coming. Obviously, the Kennefic car was hugely popular, so it's looking the Lone Star is going to be kind of the same.
Yep. We're in talks with 3D Central about Matt coming out, so that's Dad's talking to him. So it should be fun, right? There'll be all those opportunities, right, to be able to talk with different folks. And we've had some repeat manufacturers, just the way the world is right now, that travel budgets has gotten cut on their companies, and totally understand, but they're all supporting us still. So their door prizes are coming in, right, that will be collected, and people can win. So we're making a community out of this train show, as you mentioned, right, as all train shows are, as the bigger, broader communities, and even a smaller community as individual shows can be, right?
Yeah.
Well, it speaks volumes for, the challenging times that we're in, plus the fact that it is Deschler, Nebraska, yet you're still drawing all these amazing people to a town of 747. Have you contacted the mayor and let him know you're going to probably double the population of the town and maybe at some point?
She knows, very, very acutely knows. And
all of our Airbnb folks know, and we let our restaurants all know, and they get pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
So and it goes broader than Deschler, right? Our neighboring towns even hit us up about it. They'll be asking, okay, is this the year or is it next year, right?
Wow.
That starts, and because they all feel the impact from the folks coming into town. Like you said, we doubled the size of the town for the weekend, which for us, we are extremely proud of that our store is able to do that, or our event's able to do that. And I like to say when our grandpa was still around, he loved driving around during our shows and, look at all the different license plates.
Yeah.
I think at the last one, it was 17 different states.
Wow.
Made it to our show.
Huh.
Awesome.
Yeah.
In the 25 years that you've all been in business, how many of the states do you think you all have been to?
The Southeast would be the ones we probably have not been into the most, but we've been into a lot of them.
Well, those, and then north of Massachusetts, those, what is that, Vermont?
Yeah, we make it to Amherst every year.
Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine.
Yeah.
We've never been.
We've been to like the Atlanta National, right?
Atlanta National.
But we don't go to the Southeast very regularly.
We haven't been probably the Carolinas, Kentucky.
Yeah.
We haven't found a good niche of shows to make that work out. We're really kind of getting into more selective on our train shows. Not that we're being snobbish. It's not anything to do with that. It's just we want to make sure that when we go, because we would take our big show load, it needs to be 2-day shows.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not, a lot of those areas are more 1-day type setups.
So it's a planning.
So you just got to plan. Yeah, you just got to plan because the distance is pretty good. We just got to plan it better. And we're working on that. Yeah. We've got some people out there, how about this one or how about that one? So I know we're looking forward to, what is it, Chattanooga in 2 years?
Yep.
That'll be a new area for us. So we're excited about that one. And we're excited about Novi this year.
Those are the nationals.
Detroit's are always a good area to go for us. So
train shows are always going to be a part of Spring Creek. It's just the volume of it, is always something we're talking about because, Mom and Dad are our roadies. So Jeff and I do a lot of the back office stuff that, to keep the place going. And it just, things are going to change over time. And that's something we're constantly talking about and trying to figure out how to balance how many can we do, right? And manage family life at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
So we talked about there'd be layouts on display and you can come up and actually, I've walked by and they hand me a throttle. Say, hey, you want to run a train? And that's really cool. That's fun to do. If you don't get an opportunity to do that, that's awesome. And then the manufacturers, of course, getting to visit with them, because this is a good show where you can really walk up and spend some time with them. That while there's a lot of people at the Spring Creek event, that it's much more personal. Anytime I go up to Spring Creek, it is almost like it's a family holiday or something, going to somebody's house for a holiday dinner or something. And speaking of that, there's always good pie and food that they put on at the community center. So I always look forward to that.
Is maybe this a direct result of this starting in a house, like in the family house, that maybe it just carried on from that?
Like, there's definitely some of that, but that's just the way it is. I don't know.
It's small town
Yeah.
life. So the whole pie thing started with our Legion Auxiliary. So our aunt and me dad's sister is in the Legion Auxiliary, and this first train show, he goes, I need concessions, and he was working with several, and he finally kind of asked her, and it took a while for them to decide they were going to do it, because they're all older, up in age and whatnot, and it's well, do we want to do that kind of work? And they got done, and they said, this is the best event we've ever.
I think they quit fundraising everywhere else.
Yeah.
They just do this one.
We're like, okay. And they're like, no, serious. We actually had to, the people who work the stand also cook, but there's also others that don't work the stand that were cooking. And they're like, we've already started them on making more pies and more for that show. And one of the layouts that's been pretty consistent was set up right next to the food counter window. And one of the guys from there said, this is the greatest train show of all time. He goes, I can sit over here and run a train. I can turn around and order a piece of pie.
Yep.
That's all I need. So that's how the pie thing has all started. And it's been great. The Legion ladies do a great job every year. And they love talking to everybody and seeing everybody, and just are amazed at how many people I could come through to see it and just see what it's all about. And
they've made those connections too, right?
Yeah.
They got friends now that show up every 2 years, right? And, go get that piece of pie. And Tony, you're probably, one of them that, will order ahead or whatever, walk through, hey, I want that, save that one for me, right? When I come back around.
I was about to say, first few times I'd think, well, I'm going to get that when I come back, and it'd be gone. So now when I make that first pass through, well, let me get 2 or 3 of these slices and because they're going to be gone next time, and I want this, this, and this. So it's fun.
And I think every year they get better at making so many more pies or whatever. And I still think last 2 years ago they ran out on Saturday. So they all went home that night and baked more.
Bake more.
We'll have to see who's first in line. Will it be Tony or Devin Jackson of
I think Devin probably already got his order in.
Devin may do that. He was talking about that, which kind of leads to the fandom that you've built over this. You got a guy coming from Texas with a camper, and like you said, from coast to coast, not only just coming, but maybe bringing modules to participate. So you've got a worldwide following. Talk about some of the other things that we can expect to see. I'm sure the store is going to be open as well during this.
So we'll have the store open. We set up 3 different cash registers on a normal day, right? We got just a single cash register, but we'll got 3 set up, try to help everybody move through as best we can through our store, but have a couple guys walking around helping them find stuff, but get to experience the wall of containers, as our dad likes to say, right? And I like to say you get to see the N scale section, thanks to that I'm part of the family. We have N scale.
That's Mike's corner. Is that
what it's bigger than a corner, right?
It's more than a corner, but
Mike's aisle or 2.
You see the burden he carries.
But there'll be some fun stuff going on.
Yeah. And I'll tell it will be crowded in the store. That's a warning on that. It will be, but there are times that, if you just got to be a little persistent and check in, if it's too many, say, I'll come back in an hour. And in that hour, it'll change.
Yep.
So,
and it's easy to get around town. I mean, the town's 6 blocks long or something like that. So, and then we're going to set up a Spring Creek booth down at the high school gym with a bunch of the layouts. So the booth's going to be different than our train show booths. We haven't quite figured out everything that's going to be inside the booth, but I will say there'll probably be some of our warehouse finds out of our hidden stash of stuff will be at that booth. And then we'll have Yelton models there next to us with
Yep.
all of our Yelton stock, and he'll be scanning people. So I'm sure you can get yourself signed up if you want to become I like to say, an action figure. So you can become an action figure. So that's kind of fun. So,
And
but
then
yeah.
the other thing is we're going to have clinics.
Oh yeah.
So
We got
Mike
a lot
needs
of
to show
good.
me the list, but we have a
Yeah.
lot of good people coming to do some clinics. I know George from Soundtracks is going to do one. Jeff Nichols.
He does like redoing buildings, right?
Yeah. Dad found him at a trade show in San Antonio. And what he would do is he goes and he buys, I don't know, a structure you'd go,
A $5 building, off
that's not even worth $5, right? And then he takes it home and he works it over, either resells it or puts it on his layout or whatever. But it's pretty amazing what he can do, and it's just paint, it's paint techniques, it's weathering, it's all that kind of stuff. And it's like, so he's going to, talk about, you can do this kind of thing. We'll have Azatrax here with a booth, but he's going to do a clinic on railroad signaling, which is always great. We'll have a gentleman by the name of Dave Berman, and he does a lot of different clinics on like real railroad industry stuff.
He's done some good ones for us on ethanol.
Yeah.
So he can really describe to you how the ethanol plant works and what the railroad is doing to serve the ethanol.
What they do with the distiller's grain when it's done. And those
so it's really cool on helping you, one, lay out what an ethanol plant would look like on your layout, but then two, like how does that operation fit into what you're going to do on your layout? So I think that's really neat. He's got a couple other ones, but we've done the ethanol one in the past.
Yeah, Tony, that's all that cool inside baseball stuff we're all looking for, right?
Oh, exactly. Exactly. I love that kind of stuff where it's like, this is really cool, but like, what kind of cars do I need to serve this? And what would be brought into it as a raw material? What goes out as a finished product? And a lot of that, there's tons of models, tons of cars, but where do you find that information to put together? So somebody doesn't come up and go, what in the world have you got these kind of cars going to this plant for that they'd never use that? So it's just fun to know. That to me really enhances your appreciation and the fun of it to know that, this is why I got these tank cars coming in for this, and they're this kind of car with this kind of dome because that's how they load them. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And by no means, it's like, if you're into that and getting that detailed on your layout, absolutely, you get to know that. But for me, even if you don't, the interesting thing is just knowing what that industry ships. Yeah. So it's like, they ship out this, and this, and I need these kind of cars. And like, it doesn't matter if you put the right tank car or the right grain car in there. It's like, just do it, have fun.
Yeah. Some of that for sure.
So,
but yeah, it's cool. Dave does a great job at that. So Nick's train. Awesome. He's gonna talk about his Dakota buddy, so that'll be cool too.
And we're working on a couple others. I'm still trying to get this guy to do one, but you
want to bring back my past life? Huh?
Yeah, I was going to. So. Someday we'll get him out there.
Yeah, so I used to design intermodal yards and freight yards for the Union Pacific.
Oh wow!
Jeff wants me to get into that. And
you got a wealth of knowledge. We got to get shared, Mike. There's going to be people chomping at the bit to hear what you got to tell.
Way to go, Jeff. Now it's like peer pressure going on.
I don't know. Yeah, that's right.
So stay tuned. There may be another clinic coming from Mike.
Yeah, maybe.
We're going to bend it. We're going to bend his arm behind his back, and we're going to get him over there.
Unfortunately for this year, it's probably a little too late to get something put together.
I don't know. I might be able to call in some favors and get some pictures and stuff we can talk about. So we'll see.
Well, stay tuned for that.
Yeah. And we got a couple others that we're working on.
We got a lot of good feedback last year on clinic schedules, so we're working on a different idea on clinic schedule, and basically probably jamming them all into Saturday and more towards late morning, through the end of the show, and have two different places, right? So we got two different buildings, basically a block apart, and then start them on alternating schedules. So, I mean, you'll still have to pick one or the other, right? But kind of jam them all into there and try to help the
and we'll try not to make it to where it's like the Knicks trades guy is the same time as George,
Right.
So if you want to, if you're into the electronics, you can get.
We'll try to split it up.
A couple different shots at it, so to speak.
Yep.
So we've got the store open. We've got pies. We've got layouts to check out. We've got all these awesome vendors and manufacturers to check out as well. And then clinics. This is just going to be an action-packed 2 days out in Deschler.
We're hoping so. We're hoping we wear you out while you're out here.
Yeah. I'll be
'Cause I think
sleeping
we're
in a
gonna have
Lincoln on the
live-
way back home, and yeah, it'll be great. And on top of that, I'm looking forward. Now, of course, the place to be 4th of July weekend is Deschler, Nebraska, to come out and celebrate the 25th. But if you can't make it, that's where we're going to kick in with the Around the Layout podcast. And we're going to be bringing some live stream event along with some recorded stuff for the podcast, and we'll bring that back to air. But looking forward to talking to all the folks out there between, of course, the manufacturers and the vendors, and Deb and Dave and Mike and Jeff and the entire Zucker family. And then all the folks that are going to be working the modular layouts and talking to them. And we'll have some other special guests on there. So we're going to be very busy creating content out there as well to be able to capture the 25th anniversary event and be able to share it with everybody from coast to coast and then beyond.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having you guys out doing that.
For sure.
That's just going to be, another avenue for people to experience, a train show here in the Midwest at our store. So, and check out the store and stuff and personal experiences of it. Right.
So if you're looking to attend the Spring Creek 25th anniversary event in Deschler, Nebraska, why don't you tell us where you could find some more information on this awesome event?
Well, it's going to be on our website, which is springcreekmodeltrains.com. And there'll be a page right off the homepage with all the listing of what'll be kind of happening and where we'll try to put out some of the things where we'll have, but we'll have a map for sure once you get here. If you come.
Yep.
To get around town, but it'll list the layouts, it'll list the clinics. We'll try to as soon as we have a clinic schedule put together, we'll get that on there, and you'll know as much in advance as possible as we can get it to you.
Yep. We'll do our best to get all that out, and follow our Facebook page. You can check it out there.
Excellent. We'll provide all those links on our website, aroundthelayout.com/164. Now, we'll talk about lodging because, 747 people. It's not a huge town, and I'm sure there's not a huge hotel in the middle of it. Talk about, some of the accommodations and some suggestions that you make for folks that would be heading out to Deschler, Nebraska.
First thing I would be checking out is Airbnbs. It's actually quite surprising around our area that there is a lot of Airbnbs, within 20 minutes, straight highway drive to our place or to our town. A lot of them have just for the casual traveler, but there's also bigger, I'll call them like bunkhouses that have been set up for like hunters or whatever. So you got a big group coming right there, places to find there. And then a lot of our neighboring towns do have hotels. A lot of them are mom and pop hotels. Most of them, in my short time being back, I've been back at the store 5 or 6 years now, driving by them, right? They have remodeled. So things are clean and new. And then within, 30 minutes to 45 minutes, they're the national chains hotels that you can get to. So, but yeah, that's kind of the gist of being able to get around. And I will say, just to make sure everybody's aware, our Blacktop Road, our highway coming into town, is being worked on right now, which we're all excited about because it does need fixed. So just be prepared for that. Just construction's going to be going on this summer, but they're moving people through.
Well, excellent. Well, either by train, plane, boat, I don't know, however else you get yourself out to Deschler, Nebraska, and check out the Spring Creek Model Trains 25th anniversary. We'll share again more information on our website, aroundthelayout.com/164. Jeff, Mike, I look forward to seeing you out in Deschler, Nebraska, 4th of July weekend. We'll celebrate the independence of the United States, and we'll celebrate 25 years of Spring Creek Model Trains.
I'll be excited. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Around the Layout. Learn more about today's episode, check out past shows, and much more on our website, aroundthelayout.com. Show your support by becoming an operating crew member at aroundthelayout.com/crew. Follow us on social media, aroundthelayout.com/social. And send us your feedback, aroundthelayout@gmail.com. Thanks for hanging out with us around the layout.